Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking Nerf herder!
Hello everybody, this is Editing Owen from the future. We had our wonderful guest, David Leslie, with us, and due to some technical difficulties with the microphone or with the recording, it sounds like he has a terrible lisp. However, he does not. I have done everything I can, but this is as best as I can do. Still, I hope you enjoy the show, and I will be talking to you soon.
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
Ladies, gentlemen, Dan species of insectoidal age. Not sure if insectoidal is even a word.
Insectoid.
Insectoid age.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 7 of Hell of a Pilot. With me today, and as always, the king of dank memes, Lachlan Gillies. How are you today, Lachlan?
I am very well, subjects. Hear me now, hear me now. Praise unto you. Your king is pleased.
And with us as well, some men are born great, some men achieve greatness, and some men have greatness thrust upon them. This man was born thrusting into greatness. David Leslie. How are you today, David?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Unfortunately, Mike could not make it with us today. FFG has severely nerfed the X7, so he's come down with a serious case of the nerfs. But he sends his regards, and we'll continue the surgery later. David, we'll start with you. How have you been? What have you been playing? Have you been playing at all?
I've been good, yeah. Been playing a fair bit of X-Wing recently. Trying some new lists out now that the nerfs have come through. Got to mix things up a bit. Flying a bit of the Decimator, flying some Phantoms, lots of Imperials. It's been good.
And actually, I saw you playing against Mike the other day. You're the first person I've ever seen fly Jan Ors.
Yeah, right. That game didn't actually go so well. It was close, but I was flying a really interesting list that I'd seen online recently. I think it won the Vegas regionals over in America.
Wow.
It was a Miranda list with an auto blaster turret and a missile. Jan Ors and Aaron Kraken with a homing missile. And the idea is you can get Aaron Kraken to fire a homing missile, give Miranda a target lock, and she's already taken a focus.
Mm-hmm.
Jan Ors TLTs, then Jan boosts Miranda's homing missile up so she gets a 6 dice target lock focus homing missile, all on one target. It's pretty mean. And if they try to get into range 1, you get a 4 dice auto blaster turret instead.
That was a really good game to watch. I was pretty lucky. I think David's only saying it didn't go well because unfortunately he didn't win, but he played the hell out of it. It was a bloody good game.
I misjudged the range on the initial engagement, so I didn't fire a single missile that whole game, and it still came down to one ship left. It was really close still, just with the auto blaster turret, so no munitions fired. So I think it's an interesting list. It's definitely viable. It's kind of cool. Something a bit, unusual, something I haven't really seen before, so I had to give it a test run.
A lot of handshakes in that list. A lot of handshakes.
Yeah, sure.
And you, Lachlan, what have you been playing?
I only got to play one quick one recently. It was sort of an experimental thing that Mike and I came up with. We wanted to see if 3 X-Wings could take on 3 Defenders if we buffed the X-Wings. They can't.
No.
But, so we gave the X-Wings integrated astromech and guidance chips and plasma torpedoes. Because I've been working with the idea that X-Wings don't need a fix, like so many people claim. They just need a bit of a buff. So I thought, it's difficult to take a modification on an X-Wing because the temptation for integrated astromech locks them out. So I thought, what if you could take integrated astro as standard and also have something else? So I push the limit on the X-Wings, which is normally unheard of. I put an R2 astromech on each one, so all their 1 and 2 speed maneuvers were green. PTL on an X-Wing with that much green actually works out okay. Focus and target lock for the missiles works out okay with guidance chips, but this was just before the nerf, so the X7s were still as they were, and it's lucky that Mike isn't here because he would probably be really modest about it. He just flew circles around me.
I mean, straight lines backwards and forwards. Yeah.
He flew straight lines at me. Look, he just smashed me. But the X-Wings still couldn't handle it, which made me a bit sad. But it was still an interesting game to play, so I didn't mind.
I've done that as well. I've gone back to the old X-Wings, the old babies, and starting to run 4. Someone did well on that a while ago, like did top 8 in some regionals in America with 4 X-Wings or with R2 astromech and integrated astromech, and it's just, I don't know. That's how I started playing the game. I started playing with just a bunch of X-Wings because I loved X-Wings, and it's still a lot of fun, and I highly recommend doing it.
It's a really interesting list. I think it's one that you need to practice a lot of to master because it's pretty unforgiving.
Yeah, absolutely is. So, Lachlan, what do we have on the show today?
Today we're going to discuss the most recent FAQ, which unfortunately was called Bringing Balance to the Force. I say unfortunately because that's an awesome name that we now can't use for this episode. Officially, it's FAQ 4.3.0, and there's 4 pretty serious changes in there. We're going to be doing the Hell of a Pilot lore section, and this time we're going to be discussing Coran Horn, because he's a pretty big deal. And then we're going to skip down into the cantina for a bit of general chat, and yeah, luckily we've got David with us for this whole episode.
We bring David on the show because of all the people who knows the meta, David will know the meta. He is the second Victorian regional champion of the quintessential milk stool, that is the 3. I was going with either milk stool or Holy Trinity. I think milk stool is the way to go.
Definitely.
No need to get messianic.
So yeah, if that's everything, it's on with the show.
Welcome back, citizen. Tonight on Holonet News in Brief, there have been some slight changes to Imperial policy. Grand Admiral Thrawn's ferocious TIE Defenders have been modified to bring them into line with the TIE Interceptor or TIE Advanced. The Emperor loves his Navy and believes in unity, and he's sure you'll agree that things will be much better now that every ship in the fleet is on the same footing. Speaking of the Emperor, His Excellency has decided to take a step back when it comes to frontline conflict. We faithful subjects of the Empire think it's a wonderful idea. After all, he's earned the rest. All of us at Holonet News have been informed that we firmly believe Imperial commanders will make the most of this new independence. Don't forget there's strength in conformity, and loyal citizens will be unified, whether you like it or not. Encouraging news from the Outer Rim, this station can now confirm that certain notable criminals are losing their foothold out there. It seems Manaroo just can't stay out of the fight anymore, and Zuckuss is starting to get stressed out. Just goes to show crime doesn't pay in your empire. And our final word from the agriculture sector, this season the fine imperial farmers of the agro-world to supply your food have raised an abundance of Nerfs. That's right, there are now more Nerfs than ever before. There's pretty much a Nerf for everyone, so be sure to get your Nerf. This is Holonet News.
Is Nerf an actual creature in Star Wars?
Yeah, in
my
Star Wars.
God!
We can talk about that if you want to. Did either of you guys ever play Galactic Battlegrounds, that Age of Empires Star Wars game?
Yeah.
The Nerfs were what that game had instead of sheep. They look like bison or something.
I remember them.
There's a reason why Leia says Nerf herder. Like, the Nerf is actually an animal that they eat in Star Wars.
That's awesome.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Let me move on to the first segment.
I insist we move on.
Okay, very good. Let's talk about my favorite thing about this whole thing. The TIE Defender. Thank God for that. David, talk to me about the TIE Defender.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great move. The X7 title is clearly better than the TIE D title. It's been seen everywhere, and this is a nerf that kind of brings it back into line a little bit. It's still good. It's still really good, but it means you have to think just a little bit more. You don't have that safety net anymore of bumping. If you get bumped, you're in a lot more trouble, which is really good.
Because that was something that I've been trying to clarify in my own mind, that where it says specifically that it only worked if you do not overlap an obstacle or ship. Now, overlap is the official word for bump, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
like if you look in the rulebook, you won't see the word bump anywhere.
Nope.
Like, so if you're the defender and the enemy is like bang smack in front of you and you do a straight maneuver that just happens to go over the top of them, that's not overlapping, is it?
No.
Good.
No. So your template can still pass through them.
Yeah.
But your base cannot overlap. I was actually just thinking, I don't have the wording in front of me of the nerf itself.
We do.
I'd be curious to see, could you just double check then? Does it say if your template overlaps an obstacle at
no
any
use
point?
of the word template. It has...
Okay, that's interesting.
The wording of the card is the same theoretically, but they've added on the website, which we'll link on the Facebook later, but on the website it has in bold text, if you did not overlap an obstacle or ship, you may perform a free evade action.
Okay, that's interesting. So that seems to imply that if you actually go over an asteroid with only your template, but your base doesn't land on the asteroid, I think you might actually still get your evade.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Because
but
free evade, a free action. That's
the free
interesting.
action doesn't. It happens before the action step, doesn't it? Because it's
Although
actually
actually,
happening at the end of the maneuver
so
step.
it's a free action. So you can going over a rock doesn't actually make you not be able to perform actions. It just means you skip your action step, so you can still do free actions. However, if you go over a debris, you'll get a stress, and then you won't be able to perform free actions. So I think going over a debris will stop you getting your free evade because it's now an action. But going over a rock, as long as your base doesn't land on the rock, assuming, I'd have to double check the wording, but it sounds like you'd actually still get your evade.
So watch out for those rigged cargo chutes, Defender pilots.
Yeah, that might come back.
Any stress.
Yeah,
See,
stress metal.
This X7 nerf has made me think about the two titles that came in the Imperial Veterans box. What if they had them backwards all along? What if the TIE X7 title was supposed to be 0 and the TIE D title was supposed to be -2?
But the TIE D gave it like basically a bonus shot.
Yeah, but only one.
Or the TIE D title is still good. Even
The
at
TIE D
0.
title is good. That's absolutely true.
It's just overshadowed, or it has been overshadowed by the X7, and I think this nerf of the X7 is going to bring them closer in parity, and it's still a 0-point upgrade that gives you a second shot. Like, that's still really good.
That's still really good. But you just see a lot of I'm feeling like the TIE X7 title is sort of like where they want the Defender to be points wise, and we're actually paying 2 more for the TIE D title.
Yep.
Because normally a -2 point cost on anything, you lose something. But
I mean, you look at the A-Wing, it loses a missile slot.
Yeah, I mean,
Similar thing.
let's even look at the brand new one, the light sick. It's you take crits. Like every one of your ships, you're just continuously being crit now. Yeah.
Do you think we'll start to see push the limit TIE Defenders other than Ryad? Because I know Defenders don't like turning, but with the twin ion engine upgrade, there's still a fair bit of green on the dial and the white K-turn. So, I mean, people still might focus and evade, even though they have to take it as an action now.
Well, I'm not even sure. Does the TIE Defender have an evade?
It doesn't. No. That was part of the reason.
That's why a lot of people are thinking that this TIE X7 title might be a -2 point and gives it the evade icon. And while also losing its cannon and missile slot.
and
Yeah.
that would have probably come in line closer to like your TIE fighters and your interceptors, but you still had to do you still had to make your action be
And about
evade. Yeah.
Right, let me ask you guys this then. What would you say if they left the rules of the card exactly the same, that you simply got the evade, no questions asked, but instead of -2, they brought it up to a 0-point title? So your defender wasn't any cheaper, but for free you got the auto evade. Would that still be an effective nerf?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, because a 3 TIE X7 defender list just won't work then, unless they do PS1, because the points value, basically, if you want any bit of money, any money for the you're paying more than 33, then you're going to be paying up to the 35, so you can't do 3 of them.
Look, if I'm being perfectly honest, I reckon FFG, out of their 4 big nerfs that they did, I reckon this is the one that they got right.
You reckon?
Yep.
I think this is the one they got wrong.
Yeah.
I think they needed to go further.
What?
I think they need to go further, because this is basically saying it's basically the same X7 as before, just don't bump.
Yep.
So,
And don't get
You don't
stressed.
get the evade automatically now.
I mean, it kind of
What
works
was
a little
the
bit in
last one?
tandem with Palpatine as well, because Palpatine, he's looking a bit rough these days, so you're not going to be flying Commonwealth defenders nearly as successfully.
Yeah.
There's just one thing that I want to say about all 4 of the nerfs is I don't think, like, jokes aside, I don't think that any of the things they changed were overpowered before. I think the reason they're changing them is because people were sick of seeing them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was tired of Manaroo. I was tired of Zuckuss. I wasn't shouting at anyone, "Oh, it's OP, it's breaking the game." I'm glad these nerfs have come along because people won't use them as much. That's all I want to say about it.
I think I'm in agreement with you. I definitely think that they weren't super overpowered. They were definitely usually a little bit more efficient maybe than some other things, which is why you saw them a lot, and they synergized well with a lot of stuff. But you had to play around them. And I think that what they've done is tried to refresh the meta and forced us to reevaluate what's going to be good, which is going to be really interesting in the next couple of months.
I'll take it from the business standpoint, where I agree with both of you, but I also think it's possibly because the TIE Striker, no one plays it.
And it's a good ship.
It's a great ship. It's a lot of fun.
It is.
And a lot of the stuff that's coming out now is just overshadowed by stuff that came out a while back.
Yeah.
See, part of the problem with the X-Wing meta the way it was that people were making lists that sort of out of necessity. They were like, look, I could make a list that was 3 TIE Strikers and that would be fun, but it won't work, so I won't do it. People were making lists they needed to survive. And that's why a lot of Wave 10 was kind of dead on arrival, because it wasn't survivable. But
I don't know if I'd call it dead on arrival, but I absolutely agree with you. I think a lot of ships got pushed out because they couldn't quite compete in that environment, and removing some of those big, like Manaroo, Palpatine, it's going to bring back a whole lot of ships that we haven't seen for a long while, which is awesome.
Yeah. Before moving on to Palpatine, David, what do you think the future of Defenders is?
Well, I've been trying putting together a few TIE Day lists. I haven't actually managed to get any to a table yet, but I'm really keen to try them out now that the meta's going to be switching around a bit. I still think you'll see triple Defender lists running X7 because it's still really good, but I don't think it's going to be as easy, and I don't think you'll see as many of them.
Does your TIE D list have ion cannons or tractor beams?
Tractor beams.
Yes.
Yeah. Trying it with things like Quick Draw, Pure Sabak, and Tomax Bren. There's some interesting combos that you can put out there. They're a lot of fun.
So let's move on to the old man himself, Emperor Palpatine, the OG OP card. What do you think about this change, Lachlan?
It's actually a little bit harsh, I think.
Really?
It's this is something that I wondered about. I sent you and Mike a message about this on Facebook just to get an idea of how to talk about it when we got to the show. I wonder if a nerf, once it's happened, its points cost has to be reflective of that. For example, like the answer to the question, why do nerfs happen, is they happen when an ability goes too far. Like, I'm a big believer in the idea that points costs don't always balance out a special rule. Yeah. So it's I sort of think that the ability that Palpatine had for 8 points and 2 crew slots, now the ability as it is now is not worth 8 points and 2 crew slots. Yeah. So if they changed it to maybe
8 points, 1 crew slot,
8 points, 1 crew slot, or 2 crew slots, 6 points, kind of thing. Like, I think it's right that they dialed his ability back.
Yeah.
As I said before, not because it was OP, but just overuse, etc. So they dialed his ability back, and they've got it to a point where the ability is better. It sits better in the game now, but the points cost that it currently is not reflective of what they've changed it to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally agree. It's really interesting when you talk to someone who's really new to X-Wing and you talk to them about Palpatine, because often they look at Palpatine and go, 8 points, that's nearly 1/10 of my list, and he changes 1 dice. That seems terrible. Until you explain to them how it's the 1 dice roll that matters every turn. Now you have to choose which dice roll matters before it happens, which can be really tough. So Suntia, who was a staple for ages, he was always paired with Palpatine because he needed to be able to save that 1 bad dice roll. If you're getting shot by 2 TLTs, you have to choose which of 4 attacks is going to be the one that you roll bad on. Yeah. And if you just get unlucky, you're going to lose into your stealth device, and he's probably going to get destroyed at some point. Like, it really makes him hard to use.
Especially since he's now sort of he's the Imperial C-3PO crew card for taking up twice the amount of space and slightly more than twice the amount of points. And if you guess something, if you guess the dice is going to do something and it does that anyway with Palpatine's new ability, you're committed to it and you've gained nothing.
Yep.
I like it a lot. I really do like it a lot. I just think the archetype of having Palpatine pretty much always there, there's a lot more interesting stuff you can do with, especially the Batwing now. Batwing's awesome. Like, there's so much more interesting stuff you can do with the Batwing with Kylo Ren and Darth Vader. I just think it's going to make people, I'm interested to see what sort of new lists.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really, it's good and bad. I'm a little bit sad to see Palpatine get shoved to the wayside. It's kind of fun to have him flying around the board, cackling manically and pulling the strings. Yeah. But it's good for the meta as well, and it'll be interesting to see where people go with Imperial lists now that they don't have a 29-point sort of
safety net
tax. Yeah.
Do you think we'll be seeing Palpatine, period?
I think there'll be people still playing him, probably. Usually when they're looking for a certain combo, like maybe they need a crit for something, they're running Kylo or something like that, and they're not running Rear Admiral Shirno. But it's going to be much more niche. It's when you really need a certain die result on a certain attack or something like that. He can still kind of use him on defense. You wait till you see what your opponent rolls. They rolled well. You can use him on defense, but it doesn't feel good for 8 points and 2 crew slots. So we'll see a lot less of him, I think. A lot less.
I guess we should probably move on to the things that make me sad. Scum was just there. It was... they were finally good.
What finally good? Scum were the meta virtually since they came out.
No, they weren't. No.
Scum won worlds, like...
They did, but how long did it take for them to get there? Actually, the game's only been around for like 2 years, so not that long. Alright, I concede. No more Dengaroo.
No. That I'm not sorry to see.
It's not a fun list to fight.
No. It's a clever list, but not something I like seeing on the other side of the table.
Oh yeah. Well, initially when it came out, when people were like, You're gonna solo my list with
Yeah.
one ship? Psh,
Yeah.
psh, you watch this, and then
Yeah, especially since Dengar has the ability where he gets to shoot you back.
yeah.
You know, the whole point of destroying an enemy is you have to shoot them, but you didn't want to because he's sitting there going, "Cash me outside, how about that?" But now he doesn't. Now he's not quite so protected.
Yeah. Now he's Bay's with him. She's like, I want to fight too, and he's like, no, just don't. No.
But I guess the thing about Dengaru and the triple defender lists disappearing, people can still look back on them. If you're listening to this and reading the FAQ and thinking, oh, that's the list I like to use. Like, I mean, look back on it fondly, but like it had its turn.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just, for example, I don't fly Regen Poe just because it's been proven. Like, it's done. I don't see the need to. I mean, sure, you could say the same of things like Dengaru.
Make your own list. Make something awesome. Let's go back to Manaroo. At the start of the combat phase, you may assign all focused, evade, and target lock tokens to a friendly ship at range 1. Wow.
Used to have no range restrictions.
No, they were just like, they went from the largest range band to the shortest range band. They're just like, no.
Yeah.
No.
So, what do you reckon? Is that too extreme?
I think that's pretty extreme.
Yeah.
I think most discussion I saw was talking about range 1 to 3,
Yeah.
range 1 to 2, and I think
I would have been most happy with range 1 to 2. I reckon
I think
3
range
would have
1
been
to
a bit
2.
much. Range 1 to 2.
I
Yeah.
tend to agree.
Would have been interesting if it was range 2 to 3.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, that's actually, I hadn't really thought about
Because
that.
it's hard, like, if you wanted to fly Dengaru, for example, it's hard to fly 2 big ships in formation,
Yeah.
I think.
That would have made it an interesting game, but this is just harsh.
Does Fenaroo still work, you reckon?
Nope.
Oh.
Not
I
at all.
think the thing that would make range 1 to 2 really good is it turns off Lone Wolf for Dengar,
Yeah.
which kind of cripples the list a little bit, and it also means Manaroo has to be somewhere where she can't run away from you and just use Gonk to regen forever and do all those kind of annoying things with engine upgrade and barrel rolls. So you can actually just kill her. So Dengaroo gets hit pretty hard, but Manaroo is still usable.
Now, we haven't seen all that much Dengaroo, at least in Australia. I think people came to the general consensus that, yes, it's good. I want to do something else now. Not saying it's not flown. I just haven't seen much of it lately in Australia. But Paratani, a lot of that.
Yeah.
What do you think about this kill in Paratani?
Yeah, I think Paratani is, as it currently stands, is dead.
Yeah.
I don't see, having taken Paratani to a regionals and won with it, I couldn't possibly see myself flying that list with Manaroo only being able to pass tokens at range 1.
That Paratani actually kind of bothered me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not having to go at you or anybody who flew it, but just the concept itself bothered me a little bit. Just the fact that it was able to ignore so many things that I would call central game mechanics.
Yeah.
That bothered me.
I'm not saying that the Atani mind link is gone. I think we'll probably still see a lot of Atani mind link, but the nonsense with Manaroo, where like the movement of tokens, therefore I don't have a token, therefore I get a token, is not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
Look, I think the thing that's made it strong was how flexible it was. Just being able to pass tokens to whoever needed it, being able to get focus even if you'd been stressed or bumped or whatever. Like, it made it so efficient. Which, again, like Dengaroo, it's a really, really clever way to build the list. Really stripped down, lots of hull, lots of red dice. Like, it's just the whole package, basically. It had no bad matchups, which is what made it good. More than anything, it just doesn't have a bad matchup.
Yeah. Okay.
No matter what was on the outside of the table. You could
Will
feel-
we see Manaroo ever again, or will she go into the abyss?
Oh, personally, I think she's gone.
Yeah. I'm with
She's
you on that. I think even with the idea of, this won't kill contracted scouts. Definitely
No.
not. This is going to bring back... It won't kill Dengar. Dengar is still a very, very good card.
Dingo is a good card,
Yeah, and you're definitely going to see a Tani still. You'll see people replacing Manaroo with Paylob.
Yep.
I've seen people talking about replacing, like putting a contract scout in there with missiles. Like, you'll just see
I think the
variations.
3 contracted scout will probably start coming back more with the Tani.
Yeah, I think you'll see a bit of that as well. That's a really hard list to fly, but it's definitely something you'll see a little bit of.
Yeah.
It's still a really good list, but it just doesn't have Manaroo there making Fen really tough to take down. Fen just becomes a little bit more vulnerable, and he's already prone to just exploding at the worst times.
Yeah.
It makes it much harder list to fly, less reliable. Which is probably good considering how much of a clean sweep Paratani's been taking if the system opens and things
Absolutely.
like that.
Actually, before we get too far along, just want to step to the side really quickly and just talk about 2 ships that came up there, like Palob and Dengar. The thing I sort of respect begrudgingly about those 2 ships is the way they really get into your head. When it comes to your decision-making process. Like, I remember a game I played against Mike once where he had Dengar, and there were a few times that game when I didn't shoot him because I was in his firing arc, and I just thought, it feels so insane. You sort of think, there's an enemy ship that I have to destroy to win the game, and if I don't shoot it, I can't destroy it. But if I shoot it, it will shoot me again, and I just can't survive getting shot twice in the same turn. And then there's Palob, who sort of goes, hey, that's a nice token you have there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. And I remember playing against... Actually, I was playing against you.
You were playing
I was playing against you.
It
and
was
I
great.
had a defender out, and I was getting to the point where I wasn't taking the free evade tokens because and I had my entire squadron. I had 3 ships all in range of Palob. I didn't let any of them take any token of any kind.
Because you have to make that choice. Like, they're either all taking tokens, and Palob's definitely taking it, or none of them are.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, because it's not like I can't choose which token you take.
Yep.
So if I had let some of the squad take them and some not, it wouldn't have worked. So none of them could. And I certainly wasn't giving your freaking Hawk a free evade. Because that's bananas. Bananas. You know,
The mighty Hawk flies again.
I love the Hawk.
Yeah,
I love it
I
so
think
much.
Palob's great.
It's so much fun. It just brought the Hawk back in such a big way.
He just seems
Jan
like...
Ors is back, apparently. Apparently
Yeah.
that's still a thing. Wow.
Yeah, I've seen a few Jan Ors lists around. Lots of people flying Jan Ors with Ray. So Ray with Finn and Jan Ors. Really, really lays the hurt on.
Yeah, but would you take Jan Ors as opposed to taking a Ghost? I don't know.
I'm not sure if you could fit... Oh, you might be able to fit
And
Ghost.
I've faced it.
Yeah.
It hurts. But
Yeah.
I definitely see your point.
6 dice range 1 attacks from Ray with rerolls.
Yeah.
You put expertise on her. Like, that hurts a lot. And then you've got a TLT backing it up from Jan as well. It's pretty good.
Oh, stick that on Nora. 7 shots from the front.
Yeah.
6 shots from the back. Reduced agility. Oh, wow.
I think the biggest attack I've seen from Nora ended up, like, someone theory crafted it. You needed so many things to go right. It was insane, but you could get something like 9 dice out of it.
Wow.
Which I don't even know if I could do. I don't know if I've got the dice.
You'll have to go back to your old peon dice, not your lovely regionals winning championship dice. Thanks.
Yeah, I've only got 4 of them, but that's alright.
I limit my list around my nice dice. Yeah,
Yeah, that's it.
I feel that.
That's my max. That's my max.
So let's move on to my next least favorite, and definitely Mike's favorite. I know he's like rolling around in bed laughing right now. Zuckuss got the nerf everyone was expecting.
FFG brought out the fly spray.
Gand, no more.
More smart, more safe, more team.
Oh no. Oh no.
Zuckuss is one that I think it would be wrong to say that Zuckuss caused a negative play experience, but the word I keep using is frustrating. Like, when I would play games against Zuckuss, I wouldn't get angry, I wouldn't get unhappy, but I would just, my shoulders would droop, and I would just kind of go, okay.
Yep.
You know, it was just annoying.
Yeah.
Just kind of tedious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of
Initially,
fun.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
When it came out, like, putting it on a party bus, I felt was quite balanced. Because the party bus, its screens are not there. And there is a big weak spot on the party bus, which is its backside, which you just... Yeah. Once you're behind a party bus, the game's over. But Zuckuss on a party bus...
Balanced.
Zuckuss on Dengar...
Not balanced.
Yeah, and for a 1 point upgrade, that's pretty crazy.
Like, hard green ones and at least one white S-loop. I mean, that's more about the Jump Master than about Zuckuss. But those two together, far out.
So we should probably read this out. When attacking, if you are not stressed, you may receive any number of stress tokens and to choose an equal number of defense dice. The defender must re-roll those dice. Big change is now you have to be not stressed.
So if you make someone re-roll 3 dice, then Zuckuss is very quiet for 3 turns.
I wonder if this was actually planned for before with Inspiring Recruit.
Is that faction locked?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that actually might be a reason that they brought out, like, this is probably going to happen. So
I reckon if Zuckuss kind of stays in circulation, I think Zuckuss will be the enemy of low evade ships in the same way that Duke is. If you're a 1 evade ship and somebody comes at you with Duke, you're a 0 evade ship. If you're a 1 evade ship, maybe a 2, and someone comes at you with Zuckuss, then yeah, they're still maybe taking on 2 red dice, but maybe it's 2 stress tokens, sorry. Maybe only 1, you never know. So I reckon 1 to 2 isn't too bad an investment for Zuckuss.
They could have gone 2 ways with Zuckuss. Either boost his points value or give him a proper nerf. And I think they did the right thing.
How many points?
I think they did the right thing as well. It's interesting because you can still use him just to reroll 1 dice, maybe push an extra damage through, and you just take a stress in exchange. It's kind of like an inconsistent crack shot. Could actually be pretty good still.
So here's one for you guys, both. If the wording of the Zuckuss card was to remain exactly the same, how many points do you think he should have cost?
3.5.
3.5.
3.5. 3. It needs to cost more than 3. It needs to cost a lot less than 4.
Well, that's 3.5.
That's 3.5.
So what makes you say that? Tell me about that.
I think expertise is better than that. I think expertise is better than Zuckuss, and I think push the limit is worse than Zuckuss. Basically, that's my 2. I think push the limit is more flexible with Zuckuss, but there is a weak spot with push the limit, whereas Zuckuss there wasn't really a weak spot.
All right, David, can you give me an answer that doesn't have a decimal in it?
Yeah,
I
reckon
fractions.
yeah, probably around the 3 mark would be where I'd put it. It's still good. It makes it a bit harder to build lists. I'm glad to kind of see it get pushed a little bit to the wayside though, because I think one of the best things about X-Wing is rolling those dice and either celebrating or despairing over the results. And Zuckuss kind of takes away some of the fun from that. You roll your dice and then you have to re-roll them again. You know, you roll 3 evades and no, you don't get the joy of, 3 natural evades or anything like that.
There's a term I started hearing in recent waves that was unheard of when I started playing, and that's dice modification. People used to talk about action economy, but nowadays they talk about action economy and dice modification. There are players who think that your list is only viable if you can somehow control the outcome of the dice. That seems very different to how it was when I started playing. And I wonder if they're maybe trying to take some of that away, if they're trying to get us to a state where it's a game about rolling dice.
Yeah, and the dice rolls matter. I think that's a good point. Saying that roll. What was that argument with Sun TFL? If you had auto thrusters push the limit, and Palpatine, he could roll 4. He could roll 4. He could have rolled 4, and if he had 1 evade and 1 focus and 2 blanks, he could blank into a into an evade, he could focus into evade, he could palp into evade and have 4 evades. So from 1, he's gone from 1 to 4, and from a garbage roll, that's just not good. So let's go faction specific, one by one. Start with the Imperials. What do you think will happen with the Imperials now, David?
I still think that they have some really, really good ships, and we're just going to see some different things coming out. I've been flying a little bit more Whisper, and I've been pairing her with a Decimator with Kylo, and I think Mike's been flying that a little bit as well. I've seen him around with that on the table, and it works really, really well. It's got a few bad matchups. I got eaten alive by Kanan with TLTs the other night, which was rough. I think I did 1 shield of damage to his ghost, and his Biggs was still alive by the end of it. And I'd lost Whisper. She just got torn apart. She doesn't have Palp there to back her up, and my dice are a little miserable. But it's still a really good list, and I've done the exact same thing to a few other lists. Because if you come up against anything with pilot skill 9 or 10, you can use Rear Admiral Shirano with Kylo to just drop him down to pilot skill 0, so Whisper's free to run around and do her thing. So I think things like that are going to pop up. I think there's been a few lists that have done really well at regionals as well recently that haven't involved Palpatine or Defenders. I've seen 2 TIE SFs with missiles. I think they were paired with a Mega Leader as well.
Were those missiles homing missiles?
I'm pretty sure they were.
Because, I think homing missiles were one thing that people turned to in their anti-defender lists.
Yeah,
and
they're great.
It's that's probably one of the things that led to this nerf when anti-defender list was an expression within the game.
Yeah.
If you've got a ship in the game that people are actually trying to play to kill, that might be an issue.
I think that's always been the case in X-Wing though. There's always been one dominant list. Or not dominant list, but something that you had to account for when you're building a list. Like when I got into the game, it was always you have to have something that will let you kill Suntia Fel. Now it's Defenders. Tomorrow it'll be something else. But it's always going to be something that you just need to account for.
Lachlan, to you. State of the meta Rebels, go.
What ships will they use?
K-Wings?
K-Wings are already doing okay because bombs, as you rightly like to point out, if someone bombs don't care. Bomb don't pay no never mind. So if you can put them on Y-Wings, we're going to see maybe.
Oh, this is going to make cluster mines way better. Scum. I actually don't know. With all the nerfs of knocking Manaroo out, which was pretty much scummed the ship. It's going to be Paylob or I honestly couldn't tell you. Maybe Fenrau, maybe Talonbane Cobra.
I was just going to say, I reckon it's Talonbane's time to shine.
Yeah, make it happen.
He's going to be the one that has to bring Scum back.
Yeah. On his incredibly under-chassied. Yeah, he can do it. We believe.
He can do it. Yeah, you got to have faith.
Got to have faith. I think it's time to move on. Let's talk about Coran Horn.
To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not simply their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art.
Alright, so any of our beloved faithful listeners who have followed with us all the way along know that we usually have kind of a regular schedule with the lore section. We go Imperial, Rebel, Scum, Imperial, Rebel, Scum. And unfortunately, Mike couldn't be with us this week because his Star Destroyer is caught in an asteroid field. So we're skipping over the Empire and we're going to talk about a Rebel.
Straight to the Rebels.
Out of turn. How rebellious. We're going to talk about Coran Horn. Basically the only E-Wing pilot in the game. So
I don't think there's any other E-Wing pilots. The rest of them are overpaid and underskilled.
Yeah, basically it's the...
None that anyone
E-Wing...
can remember.
No. Well, the E-Wing is kind of a tragic... I mean, there are certain blister packs in the game that I think are basically just the one ship. Like, the E-Wing is just Coran Horn, the Inquisitor is just the Inquisitor, anyway, and so on. But, Coran Horn. Premiered in a short story in 1995, and that was then one of many short stories in the book Tales from the Empire in 1997. He comes from the planet Corellia, which is the same planet as Han Solo. He's about a year younger than Luke. And on Corellia, he was a security guard. He was kind of turned off the idea of the rebellion because after the Death Star was destroyed, the Empire put a bounty on Han Solo, and Coran thought that Han was putting the planet Corellia into disrepute. He was sort of like, hey, don't. So yeah, not super into the idea of the rebels. He was, as so often happens in the Star Wars EU, he was Force sensitive.
Oh.
Because
he's a protagonist.
Because they did that a lot in the 90s. He was the grandson of a Jedi Master, and his father, who was aware of that, but wasn't a Jedi, their family hid after the Jedi Purge. So the way Coran sort of built on his Force sensitivity.
Wait, back up. He was the grandson of a Jedi Master.
Yep.
Who needed to be celibate.
I think the EU back in Legends, it didn't have heaps of rules. Like,
this is 97.
Yeah. So
this is before
Phantom
2001
Menace.
was.
No, I'm pretty sure Phantom Menace was 99.
So they wouldn't have known anyway. Yeah,
no, there was a lot of stuff that, like, for example, that we won't see anymore, like Mara Jade, that kind of thing, and
Rip Mara Jade.
Well, exactly.
She won't be coming back. As much as people want her to, she won't be coming back. She was too important in the old EU.
Exactly, same as Kyle Katarn.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but Calf is.
Oh yeah.
Calf, as in like caffeine.
Oh yeah, I love their words for things. Like, why not just call them what they like? I don't know. Like, some of you out there who have lives might not know as much Star Wars fiction as me, but they say flimsy instead of paper. Like, just say paper. You know, like, science fiction franchises are really big on their immersion. They have to have their own word for everything. But I feel like I wouldn't stop believing in spaceships and Jedi if one of them was like, "Oh, pass me that piece of paper." I wouldn't be like, "I'm out. I can't do it."
Where do they get the timber from?
Yeah.
Totally made it up.
Why do they even have paper? Don't they have data pads?
Well, that's sort of it.
What do they use it for?
Wiping their nose.
Wrapping the
if
data
we can have everything on our
Wrapping
smartphones, why do they need paper? What are they doing?
Oh.
A long time ago, they didn't care about the planet.
That's true. It was in a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Yeah. They had lots of stars to colonize. They could like cut down as many trees as they wanted on one planet.
Yeah.
One.
They probably had a tree planet anyway. Where they got all their flimsy from.
Some forest moons of Endor out there.
Yeah. But I mean, the postal service on Kashyyyk, second to none. They will give you a tracking number, and they absolutely guarantee next working day delivery. Guarantee it.
As Wookiees, they're just dedicated to the cause. Back to Coran Horn.
Back to Coran Horn.
Alright, so, Coran Horn. His father's father was a Jedi Knight. His father was not, but his father was Force sensitive. After the Jedi Purge, hid the family. So, Coran was able to develop his Force skills such as they were because he would watch his father doing exercises. And he would sort of, as kids would do, he would imitate what his father was doing. Mm-hmm. And so it became like, his dad was like, look, we're playing a game, this is something the two of us do, but, you know, it's a secret between the two of us because if anybody finds out, we'll be killed. So, yeah, that's how he was able to develop his Force sensitivity. So, after the Battle of Yavin 4, because he wasn't in the Rebel Alliance, he was investigating in his capacity as a security guard. He was investigating the kidnapping of Suntia Fell's nephew.
All intertwined.
It's linked, man. Layers, as like an onion or an ogre. So he met, during his investigation, he met 3 members of Rogue Squadron, one of which was, where's Goodshot Jansen?
Where's Goodshot Jansen?
Yeah, Goodshot Jansen!
Oh, I was like, that's just a very humble name. You're a good shot.
He's quite good.
He's quite good. He's not special.
Like Spinal Tap in The Simpsons. Good show last night. Yes, quite good. Anyway, so don't know if you know, Suntia fell in the old canon. Eventually, sort of defected to the Alliance. The mission that the Rogues were on was trying to offer Suntia Fel asylum, and so they sort of fell across each other. Coran, during his investigation, ends up at a New Republic base. Time goes by, New Republic base. He's offered the chance to join the Rebel Alliance. To join the New Republic, and he goes, no. But,
good. Doesn't pay well.
But eventually, he needed to go on missions. He needed a ship. He was like a free X-wing.
So when does he get the E-wing?
Well, that's the thing. I tried to find an answer to that. What definitively pinned him to the E-wing? Couldn't find one. So I think it was a situation where they needed a canonical character to put in the E-wing, and they just sort of went, look, Coran, because Rogue Squadron in the X-wing series of novels, they used E-wings in that. So I think it wasn't beyond the realm of possibility that he would have been in one at some point. But definitely, if you wanted to get technical, he would have been an X-wing pilot. But the game X-wing had so many X-wing pilots at that point, from the core set, the ballista, and the Rebel transport. They stuck him in the E-wing, basically. So when he was in training with the New Republic, and his teacher, who was no less than Psycho Tycho, puts him in a... I just love calling him that. It rolls off the tongue. Psycho Tycho.
Was that his name?
No.
I completely agree with him in the game as Psycho Tycho, 100%.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that someone actually called him Psycho.
Tycho Selchu.
Yeah.
So
also really good alt art card. Like one of their best.
Haven't seen it.
He's like got a green jumpsuit. He's like,
oh, sick.
Yeah.
All right.
Second only to Suntia Fel, where he's like stepping into his TIE advance that has like the count.
That one I have seen.
Yeah.
That pose that Suntia's in on his alt art card, that is nothing short of regal. That man is an officer. He has been a gentleman in fields of battle.
It's got nothing on the old Art Harrison Jeweler though. Come on.
Oh, the
Green
Goblin.
The Goblin, yeah.
The Green Goblin, yeah.
The Green Goblin. Just throwing pumpkins at people.
Okay. Speaking of alt art, I have to talk about Bosk. Okay. The Bosk alt art card. You know it.
Haven't seen it.
Yeah. Okay. That's not the initial concept of that, right? The initial concept of the Bosk alt art card, which it never came into print, but that one there, right?
Yeah.
Never came into print because you know the wall behind where he's sitting.
He looks like a DJ.
Yeah.
He's on the phone.
Yeah, it looks pretty awesome.
Sorry.
The wall behind where he's sitting is covered in the heads of his enemies.
Oh.
Literally, there's like.
Well, now we put a horse's head in his bed.
I'm pretty sure I've seen the full art with the heads in the background. It's pretty cool.
It's really, really
Let's
cool.
have a look.
I'm pretty sure Jar Jar Binks is there. This is the wrong one. Like the problem is like it was quite literally covered in heads. So they said no, probably don't do that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Greedo's there.
We'll put this on the Facebook. We have found the heads. There's
Jar Jar is definitely there.
Oh, get out!
That's fantastic. It's really, and I just wish they kept that because that just totally goes with his character. But I don't know. As it stands, it's still pretty good. Maybe we should go back to the actual lore. Do you want to talk about the E-wing at all?
The E-wing isn't one that I know very much about.
It was such a weird ship in the old canon because it was supposed to replace the X-wing. And it was really high tech, but the problem was that it was really high tech and that things would just break down.
Oh, yeah.
So
like a sports car.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the sports car and its points cost reflects it.
The first thing they did wrong was put a gun over the canopy. Like, how are you supposed to get out? And I think I remember reading as well that it was also quite expensive. Like they didn't want to make a lot of them.
No, that's
No?
right. So that's right. That's exactly
Oh,
right. Like,
yeah.
yeah, like they didn't want to make a lot of them. They cost too much. They broke down too much.
And
they were really good when they worked, but
It's
they
not
had to
a
work.
it's not a bad looking ship either, the E-wing, but I'm gonna get really wanky and say it's not a very Star Wars looking ship. Doesn't really fit with some of the other stuff. It looks like
generic space fighter.
looks like a Battlestar Galactica kind of thing.
Yeah,
Just about.
I agree.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I've talked enough. I'm out.
you're out. All right. Dry argument. Let's head over to the cantina. Finally, here. Hey, Maz. You know that song you're playing in the background? Yeah, you've been playing that for 3 months now, just continuously. Maybe we should update that. Yeah.
Change it up, babe.
Thank you. Oh, finally here. End of the night. What do we want to talk about?
I would like to talk about something very exciting that happened recently. I'm doing it for Mike because I miss Mike, you guys.
This is so loud.
The most recent episode of Star Wars Rebels.
Don't you spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it in
I haven't
terms.
seen it.
I'm not going to spoil it in terms of plot. I suppose you could call this a light spoiler. It's just the inclusion of the TIE Defender. Because nobody should really be surprised because Rebels has teased the fact that Defender was now canon and existed because Thrawn had some blueprints for it.
There were some blueprints for it, and they went to the place where they were creating it, and they had this big, ominous, why are you protecting it so badly if it's just a spaceship? Oh, you will see, dear boy! It was one of those moments, but I haven't actually seen it in action yet.
It's scary. They make a point of making it a scary looking ship.
Yeah.
It's really quite impressive.
I'm actually really glad they're bringing sort of old EU back into canon slowly but surely. Admiral Thrawn, now the Defender. What else? What do you reckon? What do you want in canon? That is all EU.
Oh, well, what do I want in canon? Unfortunately, I think a lot of the things I loved in the old canon, I'm just going to look back on with fond memories while acknowledging they can't come back again. Because the way the new EU is structured, that you can't have Kyle, you can't have Mara, can't have Jen, it just can't be that way.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of new stuff from the new movies that are coming out now that Disney's taken over, and we're seeing a new movie every 12 months and potentially more often. I think we're potentially going to be getting a bunch more stuff anyway from that.
And honestly, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the core cast of The Force Awakens, the movie was adequate, but the core cast I really like.
They're very strong.
I'm a big fan of all
They're
four.
strong actors. They really are.
Yeah.
What do you want, David, from the next 3 years of Star Wars? Because we are in the golden age of Star Wars. Wow, we haven't had such amazement, I think, literally ever. Even when the initial Star Wars came out, they didn't come out every year, every 12 months with a brand new movie.
Well, don't forget, Star Wars was a surprise. Everyone thought it was going to fail.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't. We are in the golden age. We have Rebels. We have Clone Wars, and I will say that's a good show. Offshoot movies. Rogue One was fantastic.
Yeah.
Force Awakens was really good. Oh, I'm so excited. What do you want to see, David?
I'd be happy to see more stuff like Rogue One, exploring different stories in the Star Wars universe. Not every movie has to have a Death Star or Death Star equivalent. So more stuff like Rogue One, doing some more of the little guys, seeing more interesting snippets of the sort of Star Wars life, I think is pretty cool.
I completely agree. I think showing life there, exploring the idea of life in the Star Wars universe during one of the key moments of history is interesting. In just in itself is interesting. I think that's one of the things that the Rebels guys who started Rebels, they really tried to get in on it. I think the first couple of episodes, a lot of it was just a town in which
On Lethal.
Yeah, and where they were under rule by the Emperor, and like this is what life is like for them.
And we don't like it.
Yeah. Let's not have some of that.
That's what I think is really cool about the rebooting of the EU is that now they have like the bones of this amazing sort of universe to build on, and they have a huge opportunity to make something really cohesive and awesome out of it.
Yeah, if they do it like what they had before was fun. Like I look back at the novels I used to read when I was little, and I still love them. But I feel like there was a bit of silliness. I mean, as we've talked about before, every second character was force sensitive. If they start virtually from the beginning with a deliberate intention of how their EU can go, maybe it'll be even better than before. And plus, they can cherry pick stuff they liked and bring it back in, like the Defender.
I'm really looking forward to seeing more from people who are not force sensitive.
Yes, that's why Rogue One was so good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They live in a universe. I said we live. Wow.
No, we do. We do.
You do. It's just, in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, yeah, of course. They, in a galaxy far, far away, they have literal Supermen. And they have to contend with that. And the fact that one family tree can shape the course of history and history to come, they have to live through that. And I think that's what Rogue One really did well. Like, here's what happens to the everyman soldier. They die. It's war. So yeah. You want to say anything, David?
I've got a bit of news, I guess.
Ooh,
please.
So about an hour before we started recording this, I purchased some flights to Minnesota in May.
Wow.
So I'm going to Worlds.
You're going to Worlds. Bring it home, baby.
All right.
Yeah, repping Australia.
Make it happen.
Well, that's a surprise. All right.
Yeah, no pressure or anything.
No pressure whatsoever. There's only going to be 300 people there, but I believe in you. In you.
Look, I'm going because I've got a good opportunity to. I have the money. I'm not tied down. Work is happy to give me the time off. So do it while I can, I guess.
If you would please send us a few messages as you're there, and we'll
definitely be trying to Facebook as much as possible just to keep people back home updated.
Thanks.
For sure.
So as we know, as the superior country in the world, Australia, and I think you and a couple others will be heading there, and you will clearly be the victor. Clearly, what card will you be making?
Modification, Vegemite.
Yeah,
leave bad taste in other person's mouth.
1 point, bring a rose to every cheek.
I reckon Vegemite could be pretty good. Just you have to supply it yourself, and if your opponent can't eat the whole jar, you win. Australia takes home the trophy every year from now with a 1 point upgrade.
Yeah.
No, how about an EPT called Hell of a Pilot?
Hey!
Thank you.
What would it do?
Yeah, I reckon it could be good.
What would it do?
Oh,
It buffs the X-Wing.
I don't know. I'd have to workshop it a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Need some time to iron out some
So,
good ideas.
Obviously, we're not going to expect you to dish your world's list right here, but what faction are you going to take?
That's not set in stone at all.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing a lot of X-Wing in the coming months. Probably hit Vassal pretty hard and do a bit of a Rocky montage, try to get ready.
Yes! Slow motion X-Wing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, there's going to be a lot of practice the next couple of months, and I'll try to nail something down. I've been playing a few lists and need to settle on something, I think, and really get that perfected.
So, something I noticed towards the end of last episode was we plugged a certain place quite often, but you're with Bantha Squadron.
Yeah.
The Bantha Barbarians. Where do you play?
So we play over in North Fitzroy in Melbourne in a store called Gatekeeper Games. It's partially where we get our name from because it's number 323 on the road, so we're 323rd Bantha Squadron.
Actually, I was wondering about that. I saw you in your Bantha Squadron t-shirt the other day, and I forgot to ask you why it was 323.
Yeah. So the reason that we're the Bantha Squadron is because we found an old Star Wars comic, where Luke Skywalker ends up stealing a TIE fighter, and their call sign is Bantha Squadron. And the artwork, the TIE fighter, I think it's probably just the light and the way that they've made this comic, and like it's an old comic, but it's like a cream-coloured TIE fighter with pink. It looks really weird. And their motto is flying... No, they've got a call sign that they can tell each other to identify themselves, because they're rebels flying TIE fighters, which is Flying Banthas Never Sleep, which we thought was awesome. So we decided it would be the Bantha Squadron, so 323 Bantha Squadron.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you drew that, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Hey! It looks really good. It looks really impressive.
Well,
Yeah, did the logo on the t-shirt and stuff. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, send us a picture of it, and we'll share it on the page so people can see it.
Yeah, will do.
So other than that, we've had some lovely people from all over the world contact us recently about the stores that they go to and what it's like for them, and let's talk about some of them.
All right. Well, let's go with the UK first of all. In the UK, we've got Steve Bolton, Chris Hunt, and Carl Lewis, who are three guys who got in touch with us. Carl plays at the Weekend Warlords in Loughborough.
That's a great name, by the way.
Weekend Warlords.
Weekend Warlords is just cool.
Steve and Chris didn't tell us where they play, but we just wanted to say thanks for getting in touch.
Yeah.
And from the US, we heard from Mike Sullivan, Tom Correnti, and James Ecker. So Tom comes from NC, which I think means North Carolina. I'm not really good at American geography, but he plays at the Wyvern's Tail.
To be fair, he probably wouldn't be able to tell us what NT stands for.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. James Ecker plays at Game On Midland. Once again, not totally sure where Midland is, but if you're American, look it up, because...
Feel free to yell at us.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And finally, Mike, and it was really great talking to Mike. He sent us, we had a bit of a conversation through the personal messages on the page. He plays at Kryptonite Collectibles in Wisconsin. He also sent us a photo of an Ark that he custom painted, and I shared it because I really liked it, and I think some of you guys might have seen it. And we really want more people to send us photos of stuff that they've painted. Yeah. So please, if you listen to this, I beg you.
And what was your inspiration for it? On that Ark, he had something written in a...
it said Deuces Wild.
How did he write that? How?
Water slide transfer, maybe?
Didn't look like a slide. Didn't look like a transfer.
Mike, you sorcerer.
Tell me your secrets.
Tell us the things, Mike. If you're still in Australia, like us, you could always play at Next Level Games in Ringwood. Actually, I think Next Level is a franchise. There's lots of them, but I've only been to Ringwood. Gatekeeper in Fitzroy North, if you want to hang out with David. General Games in Malvern East, and Good Games at Lonsdale Street in the Melbourne CBD.
And Caroline Springs, PGS. That's where I tend to play. Other than that, Lockie, you have some shout-outs at all?
I just wanted to do the international shout-outs, and that's what I done did.
Good. David?
Yeah, I just want to throw some shout-outs just to all of the Bantha Squadron, a bunch of great guys.
Yes, they are. And they're very friendly and helpful for new people.
Yeah, and they're all really good players as well. It's such a pleasure to play with them and practice against them. So looking forward to more of it. Cheers, guys.
I'm going to give a shout-out to this chair I'm sitting on. I'm so comfortable. That's right. So, for those who don't know, up until this point, I've been sitting on milk crates. Because I only had 2 chairs in my house.
Because we record at Owen's place when there's the 3 of us, because he's a really good host. He lets Mike and I have the chairs, and we let him let us have the chairs. And
so no more milk crates. Moving up in the world, have a nice chair. if there's I don't think there's anything more to say. On that bombshell, I think it's time to end the show. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, David.
Yes,
No worries.
thank you, David, so much. Thank you, Lockie, so much. It's been nice having you here.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
anytime. I want to at some point get you, Nick, and Darby together, especially even before you go to Worlds, especially before you go to Worlds, and talk about what the meta. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to share your secrets or share what you're taking, but I'm certainly interested in what your take will be on what scares you the most out there and what's the strongest list out there.
Well, it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm definitely going to be watching the next System Open very closely
Absolutely.
to see what people are flying and what does well, because we're kind of entering a bit of an unknown state at the moment.
Yeah, especially with this Nerf Palooza happening. I think the next month will be very interesting.
Yeah, interesting times ahead.
Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We've been One Hell of a Pilot. With us tonight has been one hell of a pilot, David Leslie. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.